The ones that are on the edge, literally on the edge. That's how the Quran describes them. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. I would translate that as among people, there's somebody who worships Allah at the very edge. Harf is actually the edge of a cliff also. They're worshipping Allah, they worship Allah, but at the edge of a cliff. What does that mean? That means sometimes here, sometimes there. They're almost ready to fall off the cliff. They're not quite stable in their faith. They're not quite stable in their worship. They're not settled. They have unanswered questions, unresolved emotions. And so, how does that manifest itself? Allah describes Himself, فَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ خَيْرٌ اطْمَأَنَّ بِهِ. If some good comes to them, if something good happens in life, they're doing better now. Okay, Allah actually listened to this dua, so I can pray now. I feel better. وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ فِتْنَةٌ. And if some fitna hits them, fitna means some kind of trial or something that tests their faith. Fitna literally means a test. So Allah did not put the opposite of khair as shar. Right? The in'ikas would have been shar. So you would have expected Allah to say, فَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ خَيْرٌ اطْمَأَنَّ بِهِ وَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ شَرٌ. Nope. وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ فِتْنَةٌ. Why is that word important? Because Allah is letting us know that when something bad happens to you, that is just Allah putting your faith to the test. Allah just wants to see whether you're willing to believe in an Allah that still loves, that still cares, that is still Ar-Rahman, that is still Ar-Rahim, that is still Ar-Raziq. He's still the provider, He's still the protector, He's still the caretaker, even though you can't see it. Even though in front of you, you see like you've got hit with problems. And shaitan wants you to question, where's Allah? He wants you to ask that question. So Allah wants to put you in that circumstance sometimes to see how strong your faith is. By the way, this deen begins with الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. They believe in an Allah who they cannot see. And by that doesn't just mean we don't see Allah. We don't see Allah's plan either. Allah doesn't lay out for you, here's how He's going to have you go about your day. And here's what, you're going through a difficulty now, but there's another ease coming in a few weeks or a few years or a few hours. We don't know. Is things are going to get better in the next minute, or things are going to take 10 years? We just don't know. Allah will not tell you that. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُطْلِعَكُمْ عَلَى الْغَيْبِ. Allah is not going to be one to inform you of the plans of the unseen. He doesn't owe you that. All He's asking you to do is trust Him. Trust Him that He loves you more than you could possibly even love yourself. For people that are weak in their faith, they don't think about empowering or changing themselves. They just want to change what? Reality around them. And they keep asking Allah to change the reality around them, and does it change? No. And when it doesn't change, they blame Allah. They turn to Allah and say, how come you didn't change the world around me? How come you didn't turn everything, on a silver platter for me? You want reality to submit to you? You truly have to learn first to submit to Allah. And you don't come to Allah when you need something. You don't just come to Allah when there's a problem. You come to Allah all the time. You're submissive before Allah constantly. Until that attitude is developed. And by the way, there will be a time when reality will submit around us. And that time is actually when we meet with Allah. لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ. They're going to have whatever they want. The problem is we want whatever we want right now. Allah says, I'll give you that. Right now you're going to experience some times of good and other times of test. And the only reason He gives you a test, is because He wants you to pass so you can qualify for that Jannah. He wants you to go through these trials because they will bring you closer to Him. Sometimes the difficulty you go through isn't just better for you. Maybe through your difficulty, you will become a sadaqah jariyah for so many others. You don't even know. You don't know. But if you're on the edge, you don't have that kind of trust in Allah. So you turn your back to Allah. انقلب على وجهه. And then Allah says, خَسِرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. This is what I want to leave you with. When people do that, they have lost this world and the next. What does that mean? This person lost this world and the next. If you can hold on, look, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Human beings were made in toil and labor and difficulty. Whether you believe in Allah or not, you will still have challenges in life, yes or no? Whether you believe in Allah or not, it's still going to be tough to make a living. It's still going to be tough to battle a sickness, This life, it's not like for believers, they get luxury and disbelievers get difficulty. No, Allah made all human beings in struggle. That's what He said. If you could go through this struggle with Iman, then you will have the best of this life. And while you are making the best of this life, you'll be making the best of the next life too. You'll get a kind of peace nobody else enjoys. You're sick and the disbeliever is sick, but in your sickness you still find peace and they find no peace. You're in financial trouble, they're in financial trouble. Exactly the same kind of trouble, exactly the same kind of hunger, but your heart is still at ease. Allah is still giving you tranquility. Allah is still rewarding you. Allah is still protecting you, and they're miserable. You made this life worse for yourself too. And on top of that, you missed out on the next life. خَسِرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. This is why we ask Allah, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. The qualification of hasana means, when you ask Allah for good things in this life, it means good on the outside and good on the inside. Good as in beautiful, tasty, enjoyable from the outside. And good for my next life. Actually good for me in the long run. Building my akhirah at the same time. This is رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. And therefore, وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. And as a result, good in the next life. Something that's beautiful and good on the inside as well. So Allah Azza wa Jalla says He lost this world and the next. ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْخُسْرَانُ الْمُبِينُ. That is the ultimate loss. The Quran uses 3 words for loss. Allah Azza wa Jalla uses khusr. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. He uses khasaran and He uses khusran. And khusran is a masdar, sighatul mubalagha, the worst kind of loss. The worst imaginable loss. Of all the kinds of loss Allah talks about, the worst of all losses is this one. Somebody who was actually a believer and lost their faith when times got tough. And as a result, they lost this life and the next life, and they had it all. Allah had everything laid out for them. Everything was laid out for them. And so I leave you with the following. Allah Azza wa Jalla will describe الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسِ. About believers, He says they will inherit paradise. Strange word. Allah didn't say, in many places He says they will enter paradise. But in Surah Al-Mu'minun He says they will inherit paradise. Now you know that inheritance is actually something that is handed down to you because your family owned it already. And that's actually how the Prophet ﷺ described it. Allah Azza wa Jal, literally, there's 2 explanations of it. Jannah was actually given to our father, Adam alayhi salam. And so already we're qualified for it. Already. So we're going to get it in mirath. We're going to inherit it. But another beautiful hadith that I read when I was studying the meaning of wiratha and actually studying Firdaus, incredible statement of the Prophet ﷺ. He says Allah Azza wa Jal made a house in Jannah, in Firdaus. Firdaus is the highest Jannah. Allah made a house in Firdaus for every human being. Not just every believer, every human being. But some people just didn't want to go. So when believers get there, there's going to be a lot of empty homes. And so they're going to inherit those homes. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us of those who inherit homes in Jannah and not those whose homes remain empty. The house Allah has built for you and the house Allah has built for me is already there. The expectation from Allah for you to enter the highest place in Jannah is already there. Don't mess it up. Don't fall off the edge. Don't lose your faith in Allah. Just think of these tough times as just Allah wanting to see what price you're willing to pay for that house. May Allah Azza wa Jal help us through our difficulties and never allow us ever to lose our faith in Him.